Hello guys and welcome back to another FPL preseason video. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics in the FPL game, and that is the FPL rotations of the defenders. What is FPL rotation of defenders? I will explain briefly in the next couple of minutes. So if you know what defensive rotations are, you can safely skip to 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes up ahead and when we start talking about it. If you're not aware and you want to hear my thoughts, here they are. So defensive rotations are one of my favorite concepts when I build my team. If you can see here, we have 11 players. By the way, I'm using FPL.team. Special shout out to the owner of the site. I will leave a link down in the description. But yeah, as you can see, we have 11 starting players, but then we have 4 players on the bench. From those 4 players, 4 are defenders. No, so from all of the 15 players, 5 are defenders. And defenders tend to perform well in certain fixtures. Their main bread and butter is the clean sheet. So if you are having a good game and if you get a clean sheet, you get 4 points. I'm of course talking about the rules before I see the official rules for 25-26. But if we can follow up for the last 5 to 10 years, I think the clean sheet points have not changed, and those 4 points will be the bread and butter for your team. If your defender plays all right and the game finishes 1-0 or even 0-0, there is a very high chance that your defender also gets a bonus. So if you're looking to keep a clean sheet and you want to get that bonus, you need to have a good fixture. In order to have a good fixture, you need to prepare for them. So we have 5 defenders. The way I do it is I get 2 defenders immediately in that are not rotatable. What I mean that are not rotatable? I mean that I do not care about what fixture they're in. Those defenders are from Liverpool, Chelsea, City, Arsenal. Yeah, I think those are the 4 teams that I would say are the main teams that I look to focus when I get a irreplaceable defender. You get someone like, let's say, Gvardiol. He can get a clean sheet in any game. He can score in any game. The same can be said for Gabriel, Saliba. All of the defenders in Arsenal's defense, they are keeping a lot of clean sheets. Those 4 teams are the main source of my defenders when I pick the best defenders possible to start the season with. So let's see here. I will be going for a mock defense that I want to showcase to you. Let's say that the first defender immediately is from Arsenal, and that defender is going to be Gabriel. In the past, Trent was one of the best defensive assets because Liverpool tend to keep a lot of clean sheets, and then he tends to take all the set pieces, he score goals, he assists, and he was very good for bonus, so he was generating a lot of points. But these players' prices are pretty high, so 6 million for a defender, for example, it's pretty high. Here you see a very poor run of fixtures: United, Leeds, Liverpool, Forest, City, Newcastle. But that is Arsenal defense in a nutshell. You can get a clean sheet in particularly every game. Last season the fixture run was not as bad as this, but still they were not able to be said that they will keep 4 clean sheets in the first 6, but I think they did, or 3 in 5. I think it was something like that. But then when the good fixtures came, then they started dropping goals from opposite teams. So I want to get a neo defender that starts. That's an expensive defender and has the possibility to earn a lot of points. Of course, the second option that I'm going to go for is another asset from expensive team. Let's say that this will be the side. I get one 6 to 6.5 million defender. Then I get one 5 to 5.5. And that's it for my start of the season with the expensive defenders. I tend to start with one very expensive, one mid-expensive, and 3 cheap defenders. I want to spend my money up front, so I'm spending as little as possible, but not as little to be in a disadvantage. So I found out, for me, the best formula is very expensive defender, mid-price defender, cheap defenders. I think that with the format that we had so far in the last 5 years since I've been playing actively, I think this is the best strategy to go. And now we get to the cheap defenders. Why I enjoy cheap defenders? Because they're between the price between 4 million and 4.5. That was the minimum of 4 million last season, and 4.5 is a good starting defender for an okay side. So what I tend to do is I pick two 4.5 defenders and one 4.0 defender. 4.0 defender, if I can nail down a playing player, all the better. If not, I'm going to just use him as a bench fodder. What's the bench fodder? As you can see, we can play only 11 players in our starting lineup. When you lock your team in the past, you couldn't make any subs. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not, but for now, that is the case. You cannot make subs during a live game. So you have 14 other players to choose from. Let's remove the keepers, 12 other players to choose for 10 positions. So that cheap defender is not going to get in your way, and he's not going to get a lot of your budget spent, but you must have him. So what are the other two 4.5 defenders? Those defenders are from teams that have a potential to keep a clean sheet, but they're heavily dependent on fixtures. What do I mean? For example, if you pick an Everton defender, because they have been a generally good defense in the past, you pick a 4.5 defender and you pray for them to play against Burnley, for example, or against Sunderland, or against someone that is in a bad form. Let's say that this season in a bad form, it will be Bournemouth because of their losses in defense. Let's say that's the case. I know that they're not facing Liverpool, City, Spurs, even Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle, Villa. Those are great attacking teams. You must differentiate attacking teams with defensive sides. You pick defense for their defense, and you pick attackers for their attacking potential. If you can nail down a defender that gets a clean sheet and attacking potential, that's the best thing. But usually those defenders are in the more expensive bracket of players, and you have to spend premium money in order to get them in your side. And now we get once again to the 4.5 defenders. I get someone, let's say, from Forest and someone for Everton, and if their fixtures are matching correctly, I can swap them week by week, and always get either a home fixture or a good fixture. And that is the one of the skills that I try to showcase to my viewers. Pick players that suit your style. First of all, don't follow blindly anyone. And when you pick that defensive rotation, you pick them for your understanding of the game, and you swap and you start switching them. I know that you may get frustrated if a defender against a good side, like let's say Everton plays Liverpool and Everton keeps a clean sheet, or a defender scores a goal. You'll be frustrated, but you're playing here the percentages of these things happening, basically the odds. You bet on that that this defender that faces Burnley will do better than the defender facing Liverpool. Of course, different outcomes may present themselves, but don't differentiate for the path that you follow. Don't start playing a defender just because he got a clean sheet last week. Keep pushing in the right direction. So now the beauty of things starts when you find those pairs. Now I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to discuss the fixtures that I see here, and we're going to talk about each team and why do I think they should be either avoided or considered for those defensive rotation. Arsenal, good team, solid defense. I don't think you see a 4.5 defender from them, so I will be avoiding them in the rotation metrics. Then we go to Aston Villa, good team with solid defense. So I would consider them as a team to rotate with. So now we have a good side that I'm not considering and an okay side that I will be considering for the rotations. So Aston Villa is the first team that I would consider. Then we get to Bournemouth, and if it was the defense from last season, I would heavily consider them. Kerkes, Hausen, all of them were good, but now they're gone. And Bournemouth defense will be restructured, and until I see some proof that they will be playing better, I would avoid Bournemouth. Brentford, another team that if it was Thomas Frank on the wheel, I would keep them in the rotation thoughts, but for now I don't see them as appealing as they are, because they lost a lot of their defenders, a lot of the aura that the manager gives, so I don't know what potential we'll have there. Brighton, I will consider because they are with the same manager, good defensive record. If we can nail down defenders, all the better. Burnley, probably will be avoiding as their newly promoted side, and I don't want to get a rotation pair from a newly promoted side. Chelsea, too expensive, so I'm avoiding. Even if they get a 4.5 defender, I think that the premium defenders there will get you more returns, and with the way that they're performing at the Club World Cup, and if they keep improving defensively, someone like Kukureva that I added will be a good asset. Of course, if a starting center back like Kowe is 4.5 and you can add him to a three-way rotation and save some money there, all the better. But I prefer to have attacking returns from my defenders when they're playing for the premium side, so I will be picking probably Kukureva or Reece James. Crystal Palace, a good team for rotation. Good side, same manager, solid defense, haven't lost anyone important yet. Everton, all the same, good side defensively, important that the manager stays. The defense is all the same. If Brantway doesn't leave, a good defense rotate. Fulham, same manager, all the same. Fulham are going to be considered. Leeds, avoided. Liverpool, avoided. City, avoided. Manchester United avoided because I don't think they are a good defensive side, so I would be avoiding them. Sorry for all the Man United fans, but I will be steering clear from them. Newcastle, considered if they get a proper 4.5 defender. Forest, for sure, considered. Spurs, now with Thomas Frank, considered. Sunderland, avoided. West Ham, considered. And Wolves, considered. So we have, let's say, 12 teams that we are considering and 8 teams that we'll be avoiding. Just get me a sip of water. And now we can start investigating the teams that we have up here. Those colors are going to be helpful for us because they would say what's the quality of the position that they're facing. Of course, that is based on last year's data. For example, Bournemouth is here, a hard fixture. I don't know if that's going to be the case. But of course, for now, that is. So let's start with Aston Villa, where they have a good fixture. So they have a good fixture against, let's say, Brentford, Palace, Everton, Sunderland, Fulham, Burnley. I can consider players from their defense from their every game in that run. So they're a good team to target in those runs. So we need a defender with an okay fixture run in first week, probably in third, let's say in sixth. So if we go down, first is Brentford, West Ham, Sunderland. So Forest Villa is one of the pairs that I would say I would be looking at. Both teams were good last season defensively, so that's all the better. So Forest, as you can see, Forest has a lot of good fixtures in the first 6. And they face West Ham, Burnley, and Sunderland, which is not something that I would want to miss. But genuinely, you get Newcastle, Brentford, Palace, Everton, Sunderland, Fulham, Burnley, but you get Sunderland, Burnley in one of the games. So you may even rotate one of your other defenders in that fixture to get Burnley or Sunderland as a fixture. But when they face Arsenal, they face Everton, which is good. Brentford in week 1, Brentford in week 2. So if Mbumu leaves and a new manager, I think Brentford will be a team to target defensively. Then you get West Ham here for Forest. Then you go for Everton. Then you go for one of the two, whoever is worse. Then you go for Sunderland. Then you go for Burnley. And here the rotation ends. So game week 7 is an okay rotation, but it ends in his tracks. Bournemouth avoided, Brentford avoided, so Brighton will have Fulham, Everton. And then it's hard, so Brighton probably not a team to target that much. Yeah, Bournemouth might be easy, but not as easy as they haven't lost anyone offensively. Crystal Palace, they have Forest, Sunderland, West Ham, Everton, Bournemouth. So yeah, you can pick someone from Palace. They have differentiating features. Fulham, Brighton, United, I would consider, Leeds, Brentford, then Bournemouth. So Fulham, you can create something with them. Leeds no, City no, Newcastle, Aston Villa, Liverpool. Okay, you get Leeds and Wolves and Bournemouth. So if you get someone with a good start of the season, like with 2 green fixtures, for example, Brighton, you can push for Brighton and Newcastle. But then in game week 6, you either pick Arsenal or Chelsea, which I would not like very much. Forest are a good team to invest in. Brentford, Palace, West Ham, Burnley, Sunderland, Bournemouth, Leeds in the first 11 weeks. Like, they're playing all the poor sides from last year. West Ham, United, okay, they're not playing Spurs or Wolves, but then you get the 3 newly promoted sides. You play Brentford with a new manager. So yeah, this will be interesting here. Spurs are a team to consider. I would say Burnley, City is hard, but then you get Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, Wolves, Leeds. I don't know why Leeds is in grey, because probably they are considering their end season. Aston Villa is here, Everton is here. You have Chelsea, United. It's not that hard to run a fixture, and if you can nail down a 4.5. So let's start preparing some pairs. First pair that I want to consider, as I already mentioned it, is Aston Villa. Here, Aston Villa has, and Forest has a good run. So we get, let's add now defenders from the representative teams. So I'll put Cucurella on the bench just for you to see. So we start, let's say, by adding Konsa. I don't know his price, but let's say it's 4.5. And I will start with Neco Williams here. And let's say his price point is 4.5. So here we've got the following situation. We start with Newcastle. Okay, here it will be this way. So we start by playing our Forest defender. We avoid the Newcastle fixture, which for Aston Villa tends to be tough, and we go forward. When we go to match day 2, we have Neco Williams on the bench, and we have Konsa in, because I don't want to face Palace, as they were good. And if Mbumu leaves, I think Aston Villa will be all the better side. So we go in that sense. Then we move to game week 3. We have West Ham here. I would say that Forest fixture is good. Then we move to game week 4. We have Everton for Konsa. Here it is. 4, sorry. Then we move to game week 5. We make a decision here. I can easily bench Gabriel here and go with Burnley Sunderland, which is good. Gabriel can avoid that tough fixture against City. I don't know if that will happen, or I will replace Cucurella against United, but I can play Burnley Sunderland. So then we move to 6. And here it's Sunderland, so let me replace them that way. So here, and this will be a Sunderland. Sorry. Then we move to Burnley, then we move to Spurs, then we move to Bournemouth. So I think we have up until game week 8, 10 a good rotation pair that I can utilize. So that's the first pair that I want to mention in that sense. Forest and Aston Villa, both good teams and both good defenses. Now next up, I really enjoy the Forest fixtures. Brentford, Palace, West Ham, Burnley, Sunderland, Leeds, United, Bournemouth. It's not that hard for Forest, especially if they keep their defensive record. And the bad fixture here that I see it's going to be Arsenal. I can see Palace being a hard fixture. I can see Newcastle being a hard fixture. So what I see immediately is a Fulham defender. So if we replace the Aston Villa defender with the Fulham defender, let's say that we go for Robinson is not going to be cheap. Then we go, sorry, then we go for Bassi. Oh, that price doesn't look correct, 4.0, but let's go for Tete then. Okay, Tete is 4.5. Let's go with Tete. We start with Neco, then we probably keep here Tete against United. I don't know if I can trust United, sorry, that's in game week 2. Then in game week 3 we go back to Forest. Then in game week 4 we go for Tete, and so on. Then in game week 5 you go for the 2 fixtures that you have from Forest. So you get the deal. That's a team that I would pretty much consider Forest if they repeat their fixtures from last year and their form in last year. So yeah, that's not going to happen. That's how it is. But yeah, you get the rotation pair. But the issue here is that in most of the games you're not going to play that Fulham defender, so I overly prefer Forest versus Villa. But you don't consider Villa a rotation team, you can go safely for Fulham. Then we move back to game week 1, and for now I'm going to leave Forest aside and I'm going to look at some other teams. And what I see from Spurs here, I really like it. Burnley, West Ham, Brighton, Wolves, Leeds, Everton. I see a lot of potential, and a team that complements them a lot is Wolves. I know that Wolves lost Ait Nouri and Cunha, and that will hurt probably their pressure, their pressing, everything that they do. But I think it will strengthen their defense because, let's be real, Ait Nouri was not a good defensive asset. So if we go to Spurs and let's pick for now someone like Udogie, I think that Udogie will be 4.5. And we pick here someone like Semedo. Let's say that Semedo plays and he's 4.5. We start with 2 Manchester City fixtures in the first 2. But I go with Burnley here and on the bench is Semedo. Then I go for game week 2 and here we go for Bournemouth. In game week 3 I can go for Everton here as well. In game week 4 we move to a fixture against West Ham. Yes, I like it. Then we move to a fixture against Leeds for Wolves. Then we have Wolves and Spurs, so I'll play the Spurs defender. Then we have Leeds for Spurs. Then we have Sunderland and Burnley, but then we have Everton. So we have once again a pretty good defensive rotation from Spurs and Wolves. I think it's a good rotation. You should be looking at the first 6 to 10 games because most of the players we utilize our wild card in that first wild card in that period. So you will get a new pair in that sense. So don't look up until game week 19 or 20 or 25. It doesn't make any sense. Focus on the first 6 to 10 games. I think that's the most important range that you can go for when you build a solid side. Now we move to another defensive pair that I want to consider. Let's move down. I have not picked anyone from Everton. So Leeds, Wolves, West Ham, Sunderland. That's in the first 10. I can see myself picking that Everton defender. And who complements well that Everton defense? I see that the team above them complements them. Like Aston Villa, you get Wolves. Chelsea, you get Leeds. You go for Brighton or Forest, you probably go for the Palace defender. You move then to Wolves. You have Sunderland, West Ham, Everton, Bournemouth. Spurs or Arsenal, not good, but okay. Sunderland, Fulham or Brighton. Yeah, you have a good fixture run here. So what I would suggest is, again, picking, let's say that O'Brien remains with the same price that he was. Yeah, 4.5. And let's say that Gay leaves, but it's Lacroix with 4.5. So you start with Leeds. Then you move to Forest or Brighton, whatever you decide. Then you move to Wolves, obviously. Then you have Aston Villa, so you immediately go back to Lacroix, I don't know how you pronounce it. Then you have Sunderland, West Ham. Then you have West Ham again. Then you face Everton. For Palace, it will be an okay fixture. Then you move after that for Bournemouth here, and then you pick a good side. I think Everton had. Yes, Spurs, Sunderland, you pick them in that direction, and I think that's a good pair. Those are 4 rotation pairs with the fixtures that I know and without any info on what transfers they will be making in the prolonged run. So I think that's a good potential. Here now I want to share you an improved version of this, and that is the 3-man rotation. What's a 3-man rotation? You pick a good third player that complements them all, and you can even bench one of the expensive players. Of course, that would require money, and I don't want to spend 4.5. And what I tend to do is I pick a cheap 4.0 defender from probably a promoted side, and I only focus on the easiest of easiest fixture. I don't consider Fulham, Wolves, etc. that much of an easy fixture, but I follow if they rotate pretty well. And from what I've seen already and how my brain is going to function around it and how I see the things will go on, is I will be picking someone from, so we have Villa and we have Spurs. Let me zoom out so we can all see the fixtures all together. So we have Villa, we have Spurs. I think they complement each other okay in some of the fixtures. But then if you add someone like Burnley into the mix, I know that I said that you haven't seen the fixtures at all. Yeah, I'm just stupid, sorry. But yeah, I was speaking about the team, so you probably know which I'm talking about. Sorry about that. But yeah, if we add Burnley into the frame here, Villa and Spurs, and we can have a nice rotation pair. Let's now zoom back in fully. I don't know what happened, but we go for someone from Spurs. I already went with Doggy. We go from someone from Villa, let's say it's Konsa, with the good price. Konsa is one of the best players to go for, and let's go for a Burnley defender. That's 4.0. I will not go more expensive than this. Why I'm picking Burnley? Because they had one of the best defensive records. I'm going for Bear. Of course, he might not play, but let's say he plays. So we start with Udogi against Burnley. Then we move to Bayer versus Sutherland. We avoid City and Brentford in that department. Then we move to game week 3. We go immediately back for probably Udogi. Then we go to game week 4. And in game week 4 we have West Ham. I would go for the Everton fixture. Then we go to game week 5. We have Sutherland. I like it. Then we go to game week 6. Fulham or Wolves. I like it. Then game week 7, it's Leeds or Burnley. I can in every game play the two defenders, and I can bench Cucurella here, by the way, with this rotation pair. Then we move to next week. It's Spurs, it's Aston Villa, but it's Leeds for Bear. We pick the 4.0 defender. Then we go to Wolves, Everton. Of course, I'm picking Everton. Then we move next week to Chelsea, Arsenal or Liverpool. I will pick the Chelsea asset, and then we can keep rotating West Ham, Leeds. Then you get Fulham. You get the idea in that department. Of course, if they don't have a 4.0 defender, that would be a lot more expensive of a rotation. But still, if it's Kyle Walker, that's 4.5. That can be an okay defender to add. But yeah, sorry so much for you not seeing the teams, but I think I explained them properly. Arsenal first, then I talked about Aston Villa. You know the order here, so I wanted to talk about rotations, and when I see rotations and I want to show them, that's one of my favorite parts before match day 1 or game week 1, to build the defensive rotation that I would enjoy and I will follow to the T. If we can get up, especially Forest Villa is my perfect example and my best rotation pair so far, because you can utilize those defenders in a lot of the games because they can keep a clean sheet against a lot of the sides. And even if it's not that easy of a fixture, if an injury occurs around your team, you can rely on that defender. Spurs, Wolves, Fulham, Palace, they're all good. Everton, they're all good, but still they're not that defensively proven. Yeah, Everton might be, but still I believe that Villa and Forest is so far my favorite rotation, and I will be very surprised if I don't go for a rotation pair from those two teams. Now, this will be the end of the video. I know I spoke a lot here, but I'm going on a brief holiday, so I don't want to leave you without content. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's completely for free. By the time I come back, probably some of the FPL price reviews will be live, and we can start discussing them. We can start going into more of my heavy tactics that I utilize around the team, but I wanted to start with the one that we already know for, that's the fixtures. and we pick just a 4.5 defender from that team. It's simple as that. You can start preparing your pairs in advance, you can start analyzing the fixtures, and when they start, you can just lock in that pair and all will be sorted. Once again, if you enjoy the content, please subscribe to the channel. It's completely for free. If you want to build your team, use the fpl.team. I will leave a link down in the description. If you want to join my Discord group, we'll have a lot of chats there about FPL in a nutshell. If you want, like, comment if you found a better pair than me, let's discuss them and let's see what the rotation pair is. You can list the fixtures and you can list the players and why you think they are all good, so we can have chat in the comment section. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, thanks so much for being part of the community, but for now guys, I'm heading out. Bye.